This is the Zac Anesbury Show.
Welcome. Today's podcast clip comes from an interview with Chris Villani from Foodland Supermarkets Australia.
That's PJ.
So as part of your role with them, and then obviously the merchandise team as well, do you consider your role to be, you have this leadership role, but do you consider it to have some sort of mentorship as well?
Yeah, 100%. Look, one of the things that as I was going to call myself a 10-year veteran in the marketing industry, you certainly, when you think of leadership, you think of just leading people. And while I think that is true, leadership is also about leadership in terms of your discipline. Yep. So I have to show leadership in marketing, I have to show leadership in merchandise. I also need to show leadership with people and management, and also leadership in terms of business leadership and what's best for the business. So as one of those pillars in leading people, I need to essentially make myself available to my team. And as silly as this sounds, my goal is to make each one of my team be able to do my job. Like, I need them nipping at my heels. Wow. Because I need to develop them to make sure that I'm upskilling them, and that if I am not there, they can just go ahead and do it.
Yeah. It's a really good way of thinking, actually. And what month are we in now? I think it might be the September podcast that will be released soon. So we're recording this in August. Is with Professor Sharon Rundle-Teely. So she's the Director of Social at Griffith University, which is a social marketing. And so she has this organisation now. I think there are about 46 or so people. And she said something that was quite similar to what you just said, which was, my role was to make this centre run without me.
Yep.
And that sounds very similar to what you're saying. Is like, I want my people to be able to be nipping at my heels.
And I know it doesn't sound very well. It doesn't sound like that's something that one would say about themselves and their role. Yeah. But this is really about developing others. It's really about looking after the business, and it is really about leadership. So it is really important to not feel threatened in that regard, and look at your team as an asset, and want them to be the best that they can. Yeah.
I actually think that's such a healthy way of looking at it for you internally as well, to not be like, I better make sure these guys are good but not too good because I don't want them gunning for my position, and then also you're making sure that they can get the most development that they want.
That's right. And look, one of the great pleasures in life is seeing people that you have mentored go on and do bigger and better things. Like, they're not my children, but they kind of feel like your children in many respects. And I know that's the case. That's the case here. I mean, we're sitting at City West, and my first mentor office is not too far from here. Yeah. And I know that she looks at me with a great sense of pride because she knew me all the way back when, and she's seen how far I've come.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I know who you're talking about. I think you hold a little special place there.
Yeah.
Chris, for sure.
Yeah.
Whenever she speaks about you quite often,
and
you can just tell, like, there's this little sparkle in her eyes. It's like, which is always quite nice. So so that was your first mentor? Have mentors played a bit of a role in your life?
Absolutely. I don't actually look back at my career in roles. I don't think, I was a research executive at Poland. I look back at the leaders that I had and my mentors that I had. So when I think back here, I think at the Amber Bass Institute, that is, I think to Svetlana, like an absolutely fantastic mentor. And Byron was great as well, but the day-to-day was really Svetlana. Yeah. When I think back to my days at Pollinate, the person who comes to mind was actually the owner and CEO, and that was Howard. And I learned so much from Howard. He taught me. Every single leader that I've had, every mentor I've had, has taught me something, and I've taken a little piece of that, and that forms who I am today. So with Svetlana, I learned about forming an argument, about the importance of good research. With Howard at Pollinate, I learned about being myself. I learned about presentation skills. I learned about being genuine and authentic. With Teresa at Destination New South Wales, I learnt about crossing all your T's and dotting all of your I's and making sure that I'm prepared. And then at Foodland, I had a great mentor in Con, the former CEO of Foodland, and he really taught me about leadership. Everything that I kind of think about leadership, I really attribute to Con. And now my new CEO, Franklin, I'm certainly learning a lot about suppliers and a lot about the industry and a lot about relationships. And Stephen, another mentor that I have at Foodland, I have quite a few, has really taught me about just, you know what, sometimes you just have to breathe, sometimes you have to relax, and sometimes you just have to look at the ledger, what's good, what's bad, and just take a couple of deep breaths.
Right. So, yeah, okay. Are these formal mentors, or has it come about informally? Because that's something that people kind of get a bit stuck on.
Look, it's never like a contractual arrangement, like, here, will you be my mentor? Just sign here. That's right. It's just, you know, you have... You kind of form a bond and a relationship with certain people, and I think it's almost I don't think it's, oh, do you want to be my mentor? Like, I don't think it's a formal thing. I think it's just when you need advice, you're comfortable to go speak to somebody.
Yeah.
But as I said before, it's if you're happy to model yourself on the behaviours of someone else, that's probably the greatest compliment you can pay anyone, right?
Yeah.
To say, I want to be more like you.
Yeah.
And that right there is a mentor. What would X do? What would Y do?
Yeah, and that's something that, like, I keep finding this theme going through as well, which is I don't know whether you'd refer to it as the good old days, where it would be like, excuse me, you know, whoever your boss seems to be or someone you admire at the time, will you be my mentor? And there's this sort of formal, like, proposal and then formal acceptance and then, you know, bonded for life or whatever. That those days seem to be gone, and it seems to be more of what you're doing, which is, if you move roles, there's people that you see as leadership or people that you have admiration for, that you either model yourself on or have those informal conversations with about specific parts of what you're dealing with, or you learn certain characteristics from them. And people tend to have almost short-term polygamous mentors now, and they're very for a time and for a role in your life, and you may have someone that sticks with you for the rest of your life, but there's none of this contractual agreement type of thing, and it's also very, very common for people, or it seems to be more common for people to have multiple, because that was one of the things that I hear at different workshopping events. People are like, how can I get someone to mentor me? And it seems to be the case of, you don't.
Yeah, look, I mean, it has to feel right for both parties, right?
Yeah,
There has to be that
happens.
connection. That's right. It just kind of happens, and it's something that can't be forced. It can't be part of your job description. You must mentor X. It's just not going to work, because the personalities might not be the same.
If your heart's not in it.
That's right. That's right. You know, you might disagree morally on a few things or ethically on a few things, and if you don't have that alignment, it is really difficult.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't feel comfortable giving, especially personal advice, to someone that you didn't have such a good relationship with. Or even accepting it, because they wouldn't know who you are and where you're coming from. Like, if you're, for example, like battling, weighing up time spent with your family versus at work, and like, if you didn't know the person that well, you're not going to be comfortable asking them that question.
Absolutely.
Hey guys, it's Zac Anesbury here with just a couple of quick reminders. If you've enjoyed today's podcast, then make sure you subscribe so you never miss an episode. There are plenty more interviews to come with some of the world's leading marketing academics and practitioners. You do not want to miss these. In the meantime, if you're looking for another way to connect, then follow me on Twitter at Zac Anesbury. That is ZACANESBURY, for my take on the marketing issues of the day.